After Shefty, we start with you. Is Justin Fields finally going to be the answer at quarterback for the New York Jets?
Well, Greeny, he changes the complexion of this offense. And if we go back over the last 3 years via Hembo and look at the way that quarterbacks who run the football have affected offenses, Justin Fields, his team, his offense has had the second most rushing yards of any team other than Lamar Jackson. You're looking at the Jets running the football, playing tough defense, and trying to turn around their season behind number 7.
I am infinitely more optimistic than most Jet fans I hear from. RC, next up, is this the year Lamar Jackson finally wins that elusive championship?
You know what, Greeny, I can't answer that question. It's the year that Lamar Jackson has to win the championship. There's no more pressure on any player in this entire league to perform in the playoffs than there is Lamar Jackson. It doesn't matter that you add DeAndre Hopkins. It doesn't matter that you go out and get Malachi Starks to be in the secondary in the first round. It's what does Lamar Jackson do in the most important moments. And what has happened is he's been the best player all season during the regular season and come up short in the playoffs. That can't happen if he wants to get a ring.
Absolutely. And then finally, Adam Shefty, I will come to you on the Steelers. How long? It's May 27th. Yeah. How long are they willing to wait for Aaron Rodgers?
Well, Greeny, it's May 27th, and their first game is not till September 7th,
right,
when they play the New York Jets. So I would say they're willing to wait until September 7th. But the truth of the matter is the Steelers have a mandatory mini camp June 10th to the 12th. So if we're going to get an answer from Aaron Rodgers, and he certainly seemed to hint at that this past week at a public Q&A, I think we could hear something in the next couple of weeks about him coming back to Pittsburgh finally.
Yeah, if you've missed it, he's done two things that were sort of like dropping breadcrumbs, right? First, he was publicly throwing passes with DK Metcalf at UCLA not long ago, right? That's something that you choose to do randomly. And then this week, he was asked at this event, you know, a young woman asked him, could you ever play for the Bears? And he said, well, no, but I could see myself playing for a team that's visiting Chicago this year.
And he also said he couldn't see himself playing for New Orleans. So he ruled out the Saints. He kept alive the Steelers. And that's where we're at today.
Speaking of the Steelers, let's throw a take into the hot take time machine. Less than 2 weeks ago, Ryan Clark was on First Take, and he had some interesting thoughts about his legendary former coach.
I believe Mike Tomlin should coach in another organization. Mike Tomlin should be a fresh voice somewhere else, because I believe, as great as a coach he is, and he's a first ballot Hall of Famer, I believe his voice has run stale there. I believe he's allowed that team to reach the highest of heights they're going to reach unless they can get a top-tier quarterback.
So I'm trying to decipher what you're saying.
He needs to go have his Andy Reid Kansas City run.
I got you.
So we talked about that a lot the following day, RC. And look, there were a lot of analysts who. Why are you looking around? Why are you looking around like that?
I be forgetting what I say sometimes, Greeny.
Oh, okay.
I didn't remember that. Okay. But it's fine.
But in this particular case, like I might say that. A lot of other people, a lot of other analysts might say he's not appreciated enough. The fans don't appreciate him. The organization hasn't gotten him a quarterback. He needs a fresh start somewhere else. That doesn't mean anything. When you say it, and I'll remind the audience, if you are very close person or you played for him and you remain very close to him, it feels different. It hits me differently when I hear you say it. Talk to me about that.
I mean, it hits me differently as well, Greeny. I mean, I think there's the personal piece of it, right? There's the personal piece of having fans continuously comment that he's underachieved and that they want another coach. And the personal part of me that's his friend says, go get one then. And tell me which one that you're going to find is better than him. And the other side of it is that since the last couple of years of Big Ben's tenure as the starting quarterback, this team hasn't been competing for a championship. This team hasn't been championship caliber, and they've continuously tried to find that guy. But think about some of the seasons they've had when you're talking about the regular seasons and then the playoff collapses. The fact that they've been down by 21 points in the last few playoff games. And I know he's a motivator. I know he's great with X's and O's. I know he's the type of coach that puts his experience and wisdom into a locker room. So are they overachieving during the season and underachieving in the playoffs? Right? Or are they not figuring out a way to win because they don't have that guy at quarterback? And it seems that this year is going to be the exact same thing.
It's pretty simple. When they had Ben Roethlisberger, we thought of the Steelers the same way we think of the Buffalo Bills now with Josh Allen, or the Baltimore Ravens with Lamar Jackson. Without Ben Roethlisberger, we're wondering if and when the Steelers can and will take the next step. We're waiting to see whether Aaron Rodgers can. They don't have the quarterback to compete with the big guns in the AFC that do have the quarterback. For years, the Pittsburgh Steelers had that guy. Now, welcome to the reality. Welcome to your world, Greeny, with the New York Jets. Welcome to what it's like when you don't have one of those elite quarterbacks. It is difficult to unseat those top teams. It almost can't be done unless you have a top guy.
And the Andy Reid comparison is an interesting one, a guy who had such success in one place. I'll remind everyone, Andy Reid went 4-12 the year that they fired him in Philadelphia. That's obviously not going to happen in Pittsburgh. So he would have to sort of make up his own mind.
The other piece of it is, too,
super quick, real quick.
Yeah, the other piece of it is this, too. Andy Reid was already a Hall of Fame caliber coach. He didn't become the coach, the Andy Reid, until he got Patrick Mahomes. So that's how important that position is. And Omar Khan and Mike Tomlin have to figure that out.
Yeah, I'm going to play fact or fiction with you, and Schefter, you're chiming in. Here we go. Ryan, first question or first statement. If I said Jordan Love and the Packers are going to win the NFC North this year, is that fact or fiction?
I'm going to say that's fact. What they were able to do with the run game with Josh Jacobs last year, Jordan Love playing through injury, getting to the playoffs again for the second year in a row with Jordan Love at quarterback. I believe this team just takes another step. You got Matthew Golden in the first round to add to that wide receiver crew. Matt LaFleur, to me, really coming into his own as a play caller, and a defense that was ascending last year.
I have questions. Go ahead, Shefty.
They might be the most talented team in that division. The problem is that the Bears should be a whole lot better. The Vikings, we'll see how J.J. McCarthy fares, but they might be better. The Lions are tough. You could make an argument for any team in this division that is capable of winning it. Anyone.
Can I make a statement here? Because I picked the Packers last year to go to the Super Bowl, and I picked Jordan Love to be the MVP. And I know that he had the injury at the very beginning. Yes, you and I both did that. But as I watched the season progress, even long after he came back from the injury, he still does. What he needs to get out of his game is just the confounding play. He still has a few plays, maybe every other week he does something, the kind of things that cost you games that make you scratch your head. They need to get that out of his game if they're going to take the step you and I are both expecting.
I agree. Critical situation decision-making is very important to Jordan Love. You don't have to go make the play that's above and beyond what you're being asked to do. But the other thing about this is, yes, the Detroit Lions may be better. The Minnesota Vikings may be better. The Chicago Bears may be better because we're talking about different changes that they have made. But all of those teams don't have the continuity and consistency that the Green Bay Packers are going into this season with. And even though the Bears could be better, they have to make some changes. You lose both coordinators in Detroit. Minnesota is changing to a first-year quarterback who was a rookie last year. So I still think the Green Bay Packers are the team to beat in the NFC North.
All right, and then let's skip ahead then to the AFC, as we sort of touched on some of the other parts of that. RC, if someone were to say this is the year.
Xin chào tất cả các bạn, chào mừng các bạn đã đến với kênh YouTube của mình. Ngày hôm nay mình sẽ làm một chiếc video là tô màu những sản phẩm, hoa quả, con vật, đồ vật, vân vân. Nếu các bạn chưa biết sản phẩm gì đúng không, thì hãy xem hết video và để lại một cái like và một lượt subscribe để mình có thể tiếp tục động lực ra video nhé. Và bây giờ các bạn hãy xem hết video để biết đó là sản phẩm gì nhé. Bây giờ các bạn cùng mình đi tô màu nào.
Hôm nào ăn để vui cho bạn nhân này. Bây giờ các bạn ăn, mình sẽ tô màu nha.
Tô màu ý.
Chấm tô màu là cái bản.
Mày bảo tô màu á. Đúng không? Tôi ấy, đó.
Nhưng mà cái này đỉnh thắng nó bị lẫn ra hôm em làm cả kia ở cả các dạng này sau hôm em còn nói lẫn cả sang tố tượng cơ mà
cái gì chứ tên là vòng
đấy, tố tượng sau này lúc cắt giãn thì tô màu lúc
tố tượng chào làm vòng
xong thì lúc mà tô màu thì mà cắt giãn chẳng hiểu
không hiểu thì giờ hiểu rồi đấy
xong lúc đang nói câu cắt giãn dở lên bắt đầu cắt giãn này chừng cái nhập tô màu.
Bây giờ con có học không? Để gọi bố. Bố.
À. Cái này kia để không cầm máy anh thì nhắn.
Không máy đây chị.
Ui, quá rảnh quá.
Anh mệt.
Dựa dựng thương
Mẹ đọc bảo là người đó mặt trời lên cao mà. Viết lại câu đấy đi. Không.